Good morning, folks, and welcome to our third lesson live from Jerusalem to our wonderful friends in Europe and especially our friends in Vilnius, Lithuania. Today we have our good friend Mattias and his lovely wife Amante with us and their lovely baby, and a few others will be joining us. So we're looking forward to this lesson. After last week's broadcast, we had such a wonderful time with Rabbi Chaim. I thought it was so profound the way he was sharing with us about the eighth day and more. So, folks, we bring you live from Jerusalem with Rabbi Chaim. Rabbi Chaim, how are you today?
Hi, good evening, everybody. For me, evening. Good morning for the others. Everything is okay. Everything is fine. We prepared a lot of things today, and we need to go deeper inside. And everybody is welcome for joining us. I also think that it was good. The first lesson, the second lesson, to dive inside to the text itself and to learn and to understand I will say, the secrets of the Hebrew nation. As you also said, Dan, you can read those texts and you can know those texts, but it's not the same like getting the secrets that are hidden all over the history by the Hebrew nation. And I hope that tonight we will manage to go inside one step even further and to see more things.
Excellent. Excellent. I know I was blessed and touched. So you're going to be talking tonight on the secret of Shabbat?
Yes, exactly. We're going to move on much deeper to this seventh day and to understand it in much more profound way, and to understand also why this is such an important day for the Hebrew nation, and why we are celebrating, or we are doing this holy day. And we're not doing it not on Friday, not on Sunday. I think that we will manage to understand everything. I hope that we will manage to finish everything. If you want, we'll continue on next week, but we can start.
Well, I know I thoroughly enjoy it, and I find them life-changing lessons. And more than that, they actually bring peace to the soul.
Yes, thank you for that. But it's not. I agree with you, but I think that we can go even one step further than that, and not only to bring peace to the soul, but also to bring peace to the world.
Yes.
But those lessons that we are teaching and very all the time we are learning how to act, not only what to think, and also what to think and how to act in our life. In the right way, that is also giving a place to others, not only to myself, but also to others. And this is, I think, the most important issue with this thing here that we're learning. The Bible is giving us the right way how to observe on life and what's happening here in this world.
Yes, for sure. For sure. It's definitely light to our path. And we so are grateful that you take your time, your busy schedule in Jerusalem, to share with us and to the people in Europe and our friends in Vilnius, Lithuania.
I think that Daniel, that just now joined, I think that he is also from South America. I see that he's on off. We'll see what's happening with him and the continuing. Okay, so let's start.
Excellent. It's up to you, Rabbi. You got the center stage. We're glad to have you. Please share with us the secrets of Shabbat.
Okay, so let's start. Let's go. First of all, let's open, the remembrance. So I remember things that we learned last week. We spoke about the issue that each day have 4 stages of creation when we're reading the Bible. The first stage is the planning, decision of God. And then the second stage is the implementation of the plan, what is happening in the reality, the actual implementation that happened after God decided things or planned things. After that, God is giving us a judgment or confirmation about the things.
Confirmation, yeah.
Some sort of confirmation. It's not only confirmation, because usually what God is saying that it's good or bad. Okay? Usually he's saying it's good. There is also once in the middle of the days, not in the middle of the days, at the 6th day, that God is saying everything is bad. And the reason why everything is bad because man is by himself.
Right.
And at the end, there is also a conclusion. So I want just for reminding ourselves. So we'll go on and we'll see. We spoke about on the first day, the planning. Oh, אתה יכול להביא אותו? Just a moment. Just a moment. I'm sorry. What I want to ask now, I'm showing you now the first day. On the first day, we saw that God said this was the planning, decision, there will be a light, and then the implementation, and there was a light, and God saw the light. It was good. This is the judgment, and the conclusion, it was the evening, it was the morning, one day. What I'm asking now from all of you, I need to do a small stop for a moment. I'm asking you to look on the second day. All of you can see this and tell me what the stages that you see and what if there is a stage that is lacking. So please, for a moment, I'm coming back in a minute.
Sure, Rabbi. I will take the time and I will read out of the Hebrew scriptures and let's see if we can come to a conclusion about the second day. Genesis chapter 1. Okay, after he said, let there be light, and there was light, and God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness, and he called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and there was evening, and there was morning one day. Now, I think this is where he's getting to, and God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, an expanse, I think, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters from waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And there was evening and there was morning a second day. So I think in the planning, are you with me, Mattias? Yeah, so where do we got some planning and decision? He's making some decision. I think he saw the light and divided it. In verse 4, he called the light day and he called the darkness night. Is there planning there? I think in verse 6 of Genesis 1, he said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. So I think there's some planning there. Now, in my understanding, this has to do with atmospheric expanse. So an atmosphere was forming around the planet during this stage, and it separated the waters from below and the water from above. And then there was an implementation in verse 7, and God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And I think that there's time in here during the actual implementation of the plan. There's a reality. This is the expanding atmospheres that we have today in our world. And then I think the judgment of point 3, he says, it comes from verse 8, and God called the firmament heaven, that which we look up to. He called the firmament heaven, and there was evening and there was morning a second day. So what's the conclusion? There was evening and there was morning a second day. I've always looked at these, especially in the last decade. I'm a very scientific bent person, but I cannot wrap my mind around how accurate the scriptures are, aside from all the spiritual aspects of scripture, how factual they are in historic scientific validation today. We had in Genesis 1:1, God said, let there be light. I believe the latest evidence is starting to show a soft collision of the earth and the moon, okay? Because it says in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. So you have that earth already in existence in chapter 1, verse 1. But then you have the forming of what was stamped. And then once that was stamped, you have an oxygen, or you have a separation of the waters from the waters below. What you have is an atmospheric development on the planet. And I find that this is tangible and epistemic. I hope that makes some sense, but I think that's what we see when we see the planning, the implementation of the plan, and then the judgment or confirmation, and the conclusion. Rabbi, you're back.
Yes, I'm back. So if you can summarize for me for a moment, what exactly the stages that you saw? What are the stages that you saw? Sorry, yes.
Did you want to share, Mattis?
If you're asking me, yes, say please, yes.
I think that judgment here is missing, because implementation is that there was water, so expanse, and the water was above the expanse, and it was so. So it is implementation, and God called it heaven. If to say that it's that He named it heaven, it's a judgment or confirmation, then yes. But God called it heaven, and it was evening and it was morning, second day, and it is conclusion. So I think judgment is missing.
Very nice. What do you say, Dan? You agree with him?
Well, I mean, the sheer fact that he called the firmament heaven, there's a judgment there, or in a sense that it gives us a direction to look upwards and ponder more. So I think the sheer fact that he called it heaven, and then there was evening and morning, that's the conclusion. Definitively, there was evening and there was morning the second day. But I believe the sheer fact that he called it heaven, and a lot of people today, especially those of other faiths, a lot of their belief system is based on just human idea, human notion, not what Hashem, Almighty God, has said. So the heaven being above them.
I understand. So you're saying that calling this heaven is some sort of a judgment. But I think, so let's go for a moment. Okay, so the first thing, the planning, the decision, God said, okay, let there be an expense at heaven. This is the decision and the implementation, and God made the expense. So we see that it's happening. His plan is in actual. And then the judgment, I will speak in a moment about this issue of heaven, but the judgment of saying it's good or bad, this is lacking here. We don't see any judgment of good or bad. You can call something by its name, but if you're not saying if it's good or bad, so you didn't get any judgment about this issue. So maybe it's some sort of confirmation, okay, that it's saying that this is the name of this thing. It's heaven, okay. So it's some sort of confirmation. It's not really confirmation. It's a half confirmation, but the judgment is really lacking here. And the last thing is that we can see the issue of the conclusion, okay. And God said, second day, okay, it was evening, it was morning, and second day, it's a conclusion. And the question is why the judgment is lacking on the second day. Okay, now I must those words just basically, so we will go inside to the things that we spoke last week. Okay, this is only the opening of the lesson of the seventh day. So I want you, Dan, please, to read the commentator Rashi, what he is explaining, and he is saying that the judgment is lacking. Okay, please.
Okay, Rashi says, now why does it not say that it was good on the second day? Because the work involving the water was not completed until the third day. Although he commenced it on the second day, and an unfinished thing is not in its fullness and its goodness. And on the third day, when he completed the work involving the water, and he commenced and completed another work, he repeated therein that it was good twice. Once for the completion of the work of the second day, and once for the completion of the work that third day. And that's out of Genesis, Rabbah 4:6.
Yeah, so we're seeing that Rashi already is showing us, or he's pointing out at us that on the second day we are lacking this issue of judgment, and it will come to us only at the end, or at the end of this work, at the end of this job, on the third day, when God is going also to separate between the water and the earth, so we can live in one place.
There's a common link there.
Yes, and then God will say it's good, and he will say, he will give another planning, another decision, and also for the next one, he will say it's good. And on the third day, we have twice. He's repeating twice. God is repeating twice the words that it was good. Again, the judgment issue. But on the second day, we are lacking this issue of judgment. So we see again, there is a structure of 4 levels, and when there are reasons, I will say, why we are lacking one of the stages, and we need to understand what is this lackness is teaching us, okay? And I want to go, as usual, we need to go one step deeper inside. We're not just learning what is written down, but we need also to understand much deeper to this issue. The second day is the day of separation. Okay, when we have only one day, okay, it's not even called the first day. If you remember last week, we started to speak about this. Why it's being changed, the names of the days. So we have the third day, we have the fourth day, we have the fifth day. Why is the first day is not being called the first day? Why the first day is being called one day? Now we'll give another understanding for that. When you have only one day, the first day, it's still united as one. When you saying now we have a second day, so we're starting the separation between the days. Now everything that is, I will say, this is the beginning of every fight, the separation. So the second day can't get a judgment of something good, because it's not good. The second day is representing the issue of separation. Now the third day already can start to reunite back things, because when you have 3 people, you can say from one side that this is much more separation, it's true, but from the other side you can also say that when you have 2 that are fighting, the third one is starting to combine them back together. So there is also here, I will say, the theological judgment of good and bad is going inside to this issue of the second day. And this is why on the first day, we're not calling this the first day, we are mentioning it was the one day. So we are still united, we are still one with God. Now the second day, we're starting to speak about separations, and we know that this world is with a lot of separation, with a lot of things, a lot of animals, a lot of plants, a lot of people, a lot of places. Right. So it's a big place, but where exactly it started all this big separation that we have today, it started on the second day. This is why this day didn't got the judgment of it's good. We didn't finish, to organize everything. So the only day that is lacking the words of the judgment of it was good, it's only on the second day. And now we also understand a bit in a deeper level why this is the issue. So here we are, I will say the first few words. So we went inside to this issue and we see what's happening. Let's go on. Anybody have any question? If anybody have a question, we can, this is the time of questions. If not, we can continue on.
Can I ask? So the day 1 is Yom Rishon, yes?
Exactly, and, yes.
Is it something from Rosh? Like it's coming from...
Yes, from the head,
Rishon. So it's from beginning. It's also...
Exactly.
It starts from beginning and going down to...
Exactly, but if you will look in the Bible, it's not saying Yom Rishon. It's saying Yom Echad. And this is exactly the question. What is Yom Echad? It's one day. It's not the first day, Yom Rishon. Rishon, it is true. The word Rishon is coming from the word Rosh, at the beginning, the most important part. But when you look in the Bible, on the first day, it's not saying first day. It's saying one day. It's saying Yom Echad. It's not saying Yom Rishon. Why? Because it's trying to emphasize that in the first day, we still are united with God. Only when we're going to the second day, we're starting to do separation. And this is also one of the hidden reasons why God is not saying that it's good. It's a good day. He can't put the judgment of good on something that is with the separation.
Wow, that's amazing stuff.
So this the Chad, it's like Yehud. It's like Yehudi, also united. So it's
exactly.
united, and their separation starts. So that's why it is called first day, not first, but whole day, where God and creation were still in one part, where there was no separation.
Exactly. You're saying exact things. And this is also one of the things that we saw, and we're learning again. So we have the structure of this chapter number 1, and we're starting to see all sorts of hidden issues inside this structure. Just a moment. Let me check something here. I'm sorry again.
That's okay. Mattis, that's a very good point. I'm glad you shared the difference between Yom Rishon and Yom Echad. And I think for a lot of us that do not come from Hebrew traditions or Hebrew roots, knowing these things allows us to begin to look at it clearer. That's exciting.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry again. I'm sorry for this.
No need to apologize, Rabbi. We are honored and blessed that you take the time out of your busy schedule.
Everything is okay. So now let's jump inside to this issue of the Shabbat, of the issue of the 7th day, okay?
Okay.
And we already saw last week. Dan, if you can read this, please. Again, the issue in the English.
All right. Each day we have 4 stages of creation. We've already mentioned the planning, decision, implementation of the plan. In reality, the actual implementation. 3, judgment, confirmation, and conclusion. Now it says, now the heavens and the earth were completed, and all their host. And God completed on the 7th day his work that he did, and he abstained on the 7th day from all his work that he did. And God blessed the 7th day, and he hallowed it. For thereon he has abstained from all his work that God created to do.
And now we already showed last week that we lost here most of the things, okay? And we are going to go inside to this issue, but the most, I will say, shown understanding, I will say, that we can have from those sentences where we don't have the conclusion, we must admit that apparently we are still on the 7th day of creation, because God never closed this day. He never said, and it was a night,
evening and morning,
day, and for 7th day came, and now we can continue on to the 8th day. And this is what we said last week. And now we also understand, we came back to this issue, and we have 3 main questions that we need to ask ourselves about this 7th day. The first question that we have is, what is the mission of the 7th day? We mentioned it a bit, but we need to learn it a bit deeper inside. And the second question is, who is supposed to do this mission? Who is supposed to do this mission? Okay, there is a mission. Who is supposed to do this mission? God, somebody else? Who's supposed to do that? Those are, by the way, those 2 words, to do, are the last words of the 7th day. Okay, here it is. You can see in the last words of the 7th day, we have the words. We have the words to do. Okay, and the question is and the second question is, who is supposed to do? Who have the responsibility of doing this mission? And the last question that we have, if we understand that somebody else is supposed to do this mission, so what is the creator role on this day? Okay, those are the 3 questions that we need to ask ourselves in this issue. And I want to start not like, this is, I will say, the logic questions that we have. But I want to start with the 3rd answer at the beginning, okay? Let's start with what is the creator role on this day? And it's very easy to start with this issue, because when we are looking inside this 7th day, we see that it's mentioning 3 times, not once, not twice, 3 times, that the role of God in this 7th day is that he is not working. He is not doing anything, Okay, God completed. Okay, and the seventh day, the work that he has did, and he abstained on the seventh day from all of the work he did. Okay, therefore he abstained. Second time that you're saying this, abstain. Okay, from all work that God created. So we are emphasizing that God is stopping. God is not doing anything in this day. He is resting. Okay, but it's not saying that he is resting. By the way, it's a very big difference between the word to rest and the word to abstain. To abstain is not resting. Okay, resting is sitting down, lying back like that and saying, okay, I'm not doing anything. To abstain is, I will say, standing from the side and looking what's happening. And if there is some sort of necessary, I'm going to join to do something, and then going back again and to abstain from the side. And when we are looking about this seventh day and the first 6 days, and we also know that until the end of the sixth day, we didn't have any men in this world, we can say that we have two main different times in our world, okay? The days before the seventh day, okay? And the days at the seventh day. There are two different times, all totally different times. The first 6 days, and I'm quoting here from Ishaya, okay? Lift up your eyes on high to the heaven, as you said before.
Right.
And see who created this world, okay? Who created? So in the first 6 days, we have a world, first of all, without a man. Man wasn't there. And the time was considered differently than the time that we are now. And also, we were at those times, it was a world with a changing state, what we call creating. God created all sorts of things. He wanted that there will be a light. And then he wanted that there will be a separation in the water, between the upper water and the lower water. And then he wanted that there will be a separation between the water and the land. And then he wanted that there will be plants. And then he wanted... It's a time that God is very involved in what's happening, okay, in those 6 days. And the goals of those 6 days is to build a place for the human dwelling in it, that the human will manage to live inside this issue. It's like, I will say, it's like, for example, when you are inviting a friend to come and to eat with you. So you're going outside and you're going to the market and you're buying some things. You're going to the supermarket, you're buying some things. And you're organizing a lot of food, but everything is being prepared for what? So you will have the ability to eat with your friend. Those are the first 6 days. Now, in the seventh day, in the Shabbat, on the Saturday, it's a world with natural laws, okay? Natural laws. It is impossible to discover the Creator through the natural laws. The laws of the nature is circled. We all know the words, the circle of life, okay? Those are committed laws, irreversible, and the deterministic world, okay? The most example that I have, usually I'm saying to my students, usually, is like if someone will go up to a big tower, Empire State Building, and will jump down and will start to fall down, because the law of the nature is that there is a law that attracting you down to the ground.
Gravity.
The gravity law. And you're starting to fight the gravity law, and you're starting to speak with the gravity law, and you say to him, it's a very big tower, so you have a long time to fall down. And you're saying to the gravity, sorry, gravity, sorry, I'm promising you, I won't do this again. I won't jump from a high building. And the gravity law will answer him, you're right. You won't do it ever again. Why? Because the gravity law doesn't have any connection. He can't speak with you. You can't speak with him. So, and this is what's happening on the Shabbats. This is what's happening on Saturday. God is freezing the nature so men can live in this world. And now, if you're asking yourself, okay, I will say in the philosophical way, or in the as a person who is searching the nature, okay, go to all of the universities in the world and speak with the people that are searching, all the smart people that are searching the nature. You can't really see miracles. You won't see miracles. Usually, everything is very fixed and everything is very, very precise and irreversible, okay? Mm-hmm. And the laws are very, very strict. And if you're trying to see God in behind those laws, you won't be able to see it. And the Bible is starting, the Torah is starting with explaining things that we, all of us, human beings, were not even in this area, okay, to see those things in those 6 days. And it's starting with something that is a bit different than what we see or feel or understand in our life. Because when you're taking some person and you're saying to him, you know, this world was created. I think that it was once we spoke about this, Chacham Dan, you and me, that already Aristotle, and after that also Immanuel Kant, both of them said, and also the Maimonides in the between, all of them said that this question, if the world was created or the world is being already since far, far ever away and never was created, it's something that you can't logically, after looking at this world, you can't logically decide for one side or to the other side. But the Torah, the Bible, is starting with the understanding that the world was created in the first 6 days. And now we are freezing, I will say, the world to be in this area of these natural laws, with these committed laws, and nothing is moving there. And this is, I will say, the beginning of the 7th day. And we need to go a bit more insight to that, okay? If I will say, if I will continue on one step ahead, we're speaking about 2 different levels of time. The first 6 days is, I will say, some sort of moral being, a personal being, something that is being changed. We spoke last week about that the earth will take out from itself all sorts of things. We saw it last week on the 3rd day. While on the Shabbat, we're speaking that the natural world is something impersonal. Mm-hmm. So it's the who question, in fact, of the what question. And I want to go on one more step ahead, okay? Because when we're asking ourselves, where are those 2 opposing dimensions of the who, okay, and the what? Where are they hiding together? Do you know where they're hiding together? Where do we see those 2 opposite issues of the creation time and of the Shabbat time, of the law time, of the nature time hiding together? We see this in every human being in this world.
In this world, yes.
Every human being in this world, and only us, only the human being, okay? It's a bit in the animals, but it's only a bit. It's not on the same level, okay? Because the animals don't have the issue of the morality. We'll see it in a moment. The soul side, the consciousness, and the mind is the only thing that is a bit connected with the animals, but the soul and the consciousness is the issue of the who, okay? While the physical body, the subject, okay, the deterministic natural laws that is connected to the deterministic natural laws, the body, and we can all do a tour in the hospital, and we will see how much this body is very subject to the deterministic laws, deterministic natural laws. We all know that. So every human being is being related with those 2 dimensions that we have in this world. The dimension that we feel today, that we see today, that we knowledge today, that we understand today, with this issue of the Saturday, where the God stopped to create things, and I will say hiding himself inside this world, or behind this nature of the world, the nature laws of the world. And the other side is where the God created things, and where people basically have this soul consciousness and everything else. But we need to go another step, I will go one step deeper, okay? And I'm asking, where is the physical connection between the world of man? I'm saying, okay, I want to expose the physical connection between the world and man, okay? We said from one side that the physical body is some sort of part of the world as it is today, with all of the nature laws. And from the other side, you have the soul and the consciousness, and this is something that is related to the creation days of the 6 days. And I'm asking, do you know where is exactly the connection between those two? I want to surprise you a bit, but the connection is related to the issue of the food. Okay, where in the food, please read this sentence of Genesis. Please, Dan, read it. You're reading it very nicely.
All right. It says, the physical connection between the world and man is food. With the sweat of your face, you shall eat bread until you return to the ground. For you were taken therefrom, for dust you are, and to dust you will return. Genesis 3:19.
So basically what we are saying here is that the food is a world, okay, with the laws of the nature and everything else. You won't be able to take a seed of a wheat and it will be an apple tree. It won't happen. A seed of a wheat will stay a wheat. This is a world that is very structured with the issue of the laws of the nature. And when we're eating it, okay, it's becoming a man. It's becoming something that we can feel, something that is connected to our consciousness and to the soul, because we are growing up, all of us. We are being held here in this world with this issue of food. I think that I asked you once why God decided that we need to have, that there is something, people are estimating that something like more than a fifth of the world is working around this issue of the food. The food is something very essential in our life. We're eating 3 times a day. We must eat. If we won't eat, we will die. Why God did this issue of the food in this world? And the reason is because of this issue, that we will manage to take this world that we have today, with all of the structure of all of the laws of the world, of the nature of the world, and we will manage to put it inside ourselves and bring it to bring it one level up, okay, that it will be to the creation side, it will be that the soul side, to the soul side. And I'm sorry that maybe I'm a bit running. If I'm a bit running, tell me, that we need to go a few more steps to understand what's happening here. And the next step,
I'm following you, Rabbi. It's beautiful.
It's okay, everybody, okay. The next stage is that there are 2 ways, I will say, of recognition in our world today, that people are running between those 2. There are people who are having one recognition, and there are people who are having different recognition, okay? I will start with the left side, okay, where people don't recognize at all that there is someone who created this world. There is God who created it. Saying to themselves, just a moment, you can hear me good?
I can hear you fine, Rabbi.
Just a moment. Oh, I'm sorry for the stop for a moment.
That's okay.
It's my young son. האינטרנט שלי קופץ לי שהוא לא עובד כמו שצריך, וזה ברגע שהתחלת לעבוד שם. אם אפשר שתתקלח רגע, ועוד כמה דקות אנחנו מסיימים. עוד איזה 20 דקות, בסדר?
אני לא רוצה להתקלח 20 דקות, אני רוצה להתקלח.
ואז תשחק עוד קצת בזה, ואז טוב.
אבא, זה לוקח.
אבל זה מפריע לי עכשיו עם המחשב. אני הפסקתי שיעור, כולם שומעים שאני מדבר איתך. ברגע שהתחלת זה התחיל לעשות לי בלגן. Okay, I'm sorry, we're going back, okay? So there are people who are denying this issue of the creator, or there was creation, okay? They live only in the 7th day, where God decided to hide himself in behind the laws of the nature. And then I created myself. They're not saying it like that, okay? They're saying that man created himself accidentally from the monkey, okay?
Naturally, yeah.
It's something very natural. The natural of the world is also created man. And everything around me is only a reflection and expansion of myself. This is one way of looking at life. The other one is to understand the recognition of myself as created. I was created. And as one who received his being as a gift from something greater than himself, in order to fulfill a moral role in natural world. Okay? Those are two different ways of looking on this world and what's happening here in this world. One is with the issue of the moral role, and the other one is the issue. There might be people who are very moral from looking from the other side, but it's the moral side didn't come to them because it's something logically from the world. It came to them because they've heard about the Bible, they've heard about the people who are speaking about creation, they've heard about there's something here, else, because they heard all those things speaking about moral issues. It's not coming logically from the issue of the natural world.
Ethics.
And again, and those are
the word
two.
Ethics. Ethics is not natural. It's it's not raw. It's something that has, as you have shared with me before, the difference between quantity and quality.
Exactly. And those are, by the way, this is exactly those two questions. The question of who is more quantity. The question of what is more quality. The question what is more quantity,
yes,
and the question who is more quality. And those are two different approaches. Okay, the anthropocentric, the cosmological approach of the seventh day, and the more, I will say, the personal approach from the other side. And I will say what's happening or what's going down from these approaches, this is a very, very big difference between a despair, okay, and meaningless life. Because if everything here is accidentally, who said that I'm more important or he is more important? And, it's very, nothing here is going towards anything else. Who knows what will be another 2 million years or something like that.
Right.
Or the other side, with the personal side, where we know that someone created this world, God created this world, so we also can have a personal connection with the Creator.
Wow.
And this is two different ways. Now, the Bible starts not from the seventh day. The Bible is starting from the first day. The Bible is starting from the creation. Now, he knows, the Bible knows, God knows when he's starting to speak with us. There were no men here, and we can't see it today. And the experience that we have with this issue is something that it's different. The experience that we have in this world is different than what he's saying to us. And each one and one of this person in this world, and these people in this world, needs to have his own way of learning and growing up to come to the conclusion and to understanding of how much, I will say, the personal, being the personal approach of contact with the Creator, and we can do that. And this is, I will say, if we ask, the third question that we ask, what is the Creator role on this day? So his role is to hide behind the nature world that we have. And it's very interesting to see in Hebrew, you're all also familiar a bit with the Hebrew, that the word olam, the word world, olam, in Hebrew is also mentioning, or it's very similar to the word he'elem. The he'elem is the word hide. So when God decided to create this olam, to create this world, or to do those nature laws of the world, he basically hided himself. He went inside or behind the scenes. So in this area, I will say, men have the possibility of doing things, okay, and without God interfering in him. The most easiest parallel that I can give is when you have a sun, you won't see any stars. You need that the sun will be high, okay? And there will be darkness in the area, so there will be a lot of stars. Each one and one of us, the human being, a star, a small star, that have this wheel or from God. And God's supposed to hide himself. God, the sun, the big sun, is supposed to hide himself. So each one and one of us will manage to do something here in this world. So the most important thing is we gave an answer for the third question that we have. The creator role in this day is to abstain, to sit down in behind the curtains, not that we won't be able to see him. So we will be able to do a lot of things here. We will speak about question 1 and question 2. We'll be able to do things here, and he won't interfere us unless there is a crisis. And if you will think about this inside and deep, you will see that every time that there were miracles, it was a disaster to the world. Okay, for example, the 10 miracles that God did on the Egyptians. It was punishment for the Egyptians. They were vanished. Or the miracle that God did to Sodom and Gomorrah, Sodomite. It was punishment for them. Or the miracles that God did in the flood. It was a big punishment for the world. Every time that God was supposed to interfere, go back in behind the curtains and to show himself, it was very, very hard for the world. Because God preferred to sit in deck and that somebody else will do here things. We will speak about who is this somebody else. Okay? We finished some sort of thing. Give me again, and I need another minute. I'm sorry. I'm going to do a break for a minute. I'm coming back. So it's a time for in between the lines to have questions and to speak between ourselves for a moment. Just a moment. Sorry.
Wow. What are you drawing from this so far, Mattias?
I don't know. It's very exciting. For me, it's not so new, but as the rabbi says, it's very detailed and understandable. For me, it's nice.
Yeah, I've been studying the book of Genesis for a lot of years. And you think you got it all worked out and you've got it all finely tuned and put into a box, and this is how it happened. And then there's a whole different dimension. All I can say is, you know, I had one rabbi, I wanted to ask Rabbi Chaim this because in the seventh day it said that God completed the work that he had done. Some other versions will say he ended the work that he had done. And some people, I've heard some rabbis say that there in that word itself, that word completed or ended, is something actually going on. And that is the state that we're in today. Yes, he abstained. I love the way he used the word abstained and differentiated it from rest, abstain versus rest. But the word completed the work that he had done. There's an actual something being done in that word completed. He's ended something. He's actually put a cap on it. He's put a limit to it. He's said this is a line. And we find ourselves in this state where it seems so natural, and I like how he differed the difference between the cosmological and else, and how, you know, we have a purpose, and that purpose is connected to bring out something. As we heard him share last week, it's almost like God created the heavens and the earth, and then out of the heavens the earth came. And then out of the earth, the expanse came, you know, the firmament. And then out of that also came the dry land. And then out of the dry land came the grass. And then out of the grass, which he talked about today being food, you had abundance of living creatures. And then after that, you had man. And there's something that has to come out of man. And I think the whole Hebrew nation is sharing something that we need to have this connection that's beyond just the natural train of thinking. And here in the West, I don't know. We're very, very scientific oriented in that regard, and we need this sort of understanding to pool it all together.
Okay, so I agree with you, and it's true. Let's say because of the time, I hope that from now on I won't need to because of the time, I prefer to continue on unless you have any question about the things that we spoke about. I have heard you'll summarize, and I'm pleased. I managed to explain myself well enough. It's okay. We can continue on.
Of course, Rabbi, you are the teacher.
Okay, so let's go on. We had also other two questions. And the next question I want to deal with is, what is the mission of the seventh day? What is the mission of the seventh day? Okay, what exactly? So we already spoke about the difference between abstain and the word of the rest. And we have two main missions in this seventh day, and we need to understand them correctly, not in the way of the Christian world in the last 2,000 years, but in the way that the Hebrew nation preserved it along the days. So we're speaking about, the first one is a blessing issue, and the second one is a hallowed issue. So let's start with the blessing issue. The blessing issue, and I'm saying here, it's the mission of the seventh day, okay? It's a mission is possible. It's not mission impossible, it's mission is possible, okay? The blessing. So let's understand a bit the issue of the blessing. What exactly is the blessing issue? The blessing issue is mentioned a bit earlier, okay? A few verses before that. Please read this verse.
And God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the sky, and over all the beasts that tread upon the earth. Genesis 1:28.
And this is what he is saying, or he's blessing men and Eva. Okay, after that we'll know that it's also Eva. Two things here. There's one thing is the issue of the fruitful, and the other thing is the issue of the multiply. Multiply is just having much more of the same. It's more of the same, but much more than that. But the issue of the fruitful is something else. Now, we are so useful to see that everything is running like that. Let's take an apple as an example. In the apple have all sorts of seeds, and each seed is also can build up a new apple tree with all of the structure of the apple tree. So the fruitful is something that is hiding a full issue, and we are so regular to see that as a natural thing, so we don't understand, we don't see this issue of the blessing of the fruitful. In the Hebrew, again, I'm going back to the issue of the Hebrew. In Hebrew, the word bracha is also related to the most fruitful thing that we know in our life. The most fruitful thing that we know in our life is the issue of the newborn baby. Mm-hmm. It's something that also the nature today, I'm speaking about now the nature side. Let's go to the science, let's go to the doctors, to the professors, to all of the people who are doing all sorts of, I will say, helping people to have babies. And you will speak with them, and they will tell you that even if you will take 100 people that are in a good structure and healthy, and 100 women who are in the right timing of giving, birth, and you will put them together, and you will do everything that they need to do, that they will have another baby born, only 20% will get catched, this seed and everything else, and 80% won't, and they don't know to explain why those people will manage and those people won't manage. Today, the science don't know to explain everything that's happening. And in the Hebrew, the word bracha is coming from the words, it's not the same in English, okay? My niece, okay? When Rachel is not can't have any babies, so she's saying to Jacob, Vatomer, she's saying to him, Hine amati bilha, okay? My maidservants bilha. Bo eleha, come to her, and she will bear children on my knees, okay? But the word on my knees in Hebrew is al birkai. Birkai is the word bracha. The word is where exactly the woman is giving her birth. She is giving her birth from the knees. This is why we call this the knees, because the most important blessing that we have is that man and woman can bring new life. Like I got life in present from God without any, through my mother and father, of course, yes, but without any paying anything for that. And since I went out from my mother womb, I can breathe, and usually I can eat, and we have a lot of food in this world, here in this world, and I got it for free. So the main bracha, the main blessing that I can do is to give life to others. And this, the word bracha is the word birkai, everything is going together. And when we are looking, for a moment, you can say to me, hey, you know, you're saying a lot of good things and nice things, but let's try to compare a moment, okay? Let's try to see exactly what's happening. We know what God gave to human. This we can see on the left side of the screen. But what exactly God blessed the animals? Few sentences before, he said the same thing, and God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply. So why are you saying that man was so blessed and not the animals? The animals also were blessed. Now, there is a very important difference between the blessing of the human and the blessing of the animals. Can you see the difference?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and fill the earth and subdue it and rule over.
This is not, I'm sorry to say that, this is, it's good, it's true, this is a difference, but this is a difference of, I will say, on the same scale, okay? So man got to be a bit more with power than others, but there is a very interesting difference, and the difference is that
God said.
And he spoke with them. With the animals, he is not speaking. When you speak with someone, you're saying that you have a connection with him. With the animals are the part of the nature world where God is not speaking with. God is just ordering the nature world. God spoke with man and Eve. God said to them. And the question is, do man and Eva, okay, men in this world can listen that God is speaking with him.
Right.
We're going again to the same question. We are today blocked. We are today with the eye closed in the nature world. We can't see God. But God is speaking with us. He is giving us a blessing. He is giving us something that is much bigger than the nature world, that can bring the nature world to another stage. And the question is, can we listen to what God has to say to us? And this is, if you're asking me, this is something that I got from my rabbis. It's very interesting to speak that and to explain that. But if you're asking exactly, where do we see the issue of the blessing, is the issue of the taste of the food. The taste of the food is something that is related to blessings. It's something else, okay? And this is also what it says in Psalms. Ta'amur ki tov Hashem, ashrei hagever yechesed bo. Okay? Taste and see, okay? The word in English is not the exact word. Taste and see that the Lord is good, okay? And be in front of him. And if you will conclude this issue of blessing, the issue of blessing is that the blessing is what is saved to nature from place beyond nature, okay? It's something that God is giving to this nature, but it's beyond nature, so the nature can be even bigger and greater than that.
Wow.
And, okay, I can put it here, and if we will conclude this issue of blessing, the ability of morality and the ability to experience the blessing, those are the two things that when we are speaking about the issue of blessing, this is what God is asking us to do. This is what God is approaching us, okay? That we will understand what's happening in this issue. And those two things are not related to God. They're related to us. God is giving this world this blessing. The question is, can we listen? And then we can be with the morality, and we can, like I got life, I will give life. Like I got things, I will give things. and the ability of the experience of the blessing, to understand that there is a blessing here. Not everything is natural. Of course, the world is working naturally. But those are the two things that are related to the issue of blessing.
Mm-hmm. But to experience it.
Yes, exactly. To experience it. To experience it, to taste it, to understand the taste of the food, the taste of the world, the taste of the, I will say, the spiritual world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I have a problem now. Okay? I'm sorry. It's my fault. Because with the time, I need to finish. But
that's okay, Rabbi.
But we didn't finish yet the seventh day. And we need to explain the mission of this day. And the second half is the issue of the holiness. And this is something very important and deep and very different than what the Christian world today is believing and working with. And we will do this next week. So
awesome.
Next week, we will continue with this issue. And after that, we will manage to understand everything that's happening here in this world and how the Hebrew nation see that and why the seventh day, the Shabbat, is so important for the Hebrew world, opposing the rest of the world who is, I will say, trying to say that the first day, that day one is more important, like the Christian world, or the sixth day, like the Muslim world. So my apologies that this week.
No need to apologize, Rabbi. I think you've ended on a perfect note. We've learned so much there. There's so much for us to review and so much for us to digest, to understand the blessing and be a part of it. And I think you've left this perfect so that we can come back next week and understand what is understood from the Hebrew nation, what is hallowed, what is sacred. And I think you're right on the cusp of teaching us something profound. And I want to thank you for sharing with us today's lesson. I know you got to go. Mattias, it's an honor to see you and your wife again and your lovely baby. And we hope you folks all join us next week. Rabbi, any closing words?
Blessing from Jerusalem. I can't say more good words than that. Blessing from Jerusalem. See you all next week, hopefully, and we'll come back also with Renat and with Aurimas and others. See you all. Have a lot of blessings from Jerusalem, from Israel. Good life. Bye. Good week. Have a good week.
להתראות.
להתראות. Shalom, shalom.
Okay, we're off. That's good. Awesome. All right, you got to run. Mattias, thank you so much. It was nice to meet you, Amande. And your baby is a beautiful baby. I'm really enjoying this and picking up some great stuff. So have a lovely week, folks, okay? I'll see you next Monday. All right, bye for now. Yes. Hey, Matt. Hey, Manti. Hey, Manti. Forgive me. I find the English dialect, the English language, is so limited and does not blend well with other languages, but it works somewhat, and I'm really personally going to try to learn some more Hebrew. I've got some wonderful classes. I'm going to, I've studied a little bit, but it's not an easy language. English has some great definitions and developed over years, but I'll tell you, it's so limited